We are the keepers of the flame, the sacred order. Let the ceremony begin. And today, Faithful Acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is from the Puckerbutt Pepper Company, it is Chipotle Express. And of course, this was on the Hot One show. You can click on the written review available down in the description below if you want to see what season it is. And of course, there is also documentation as far as all of the seasons available on the blog. Check it out if you are interested. So the heat index, they give it I guess a 4 out of 5. And so I guess that would be an 8. But I think I gave this a 6. And an 8 would be almost inedible, I think. Honestly, 7 and higher as far as the heat scale, I rarely come across those. Mainly because I don't do extract sauces, or at least very seldom. But, you know, like those higher ranges are just, it gets to be almost unbearable. Like a 10 would be, I think, almost inedible, if not just a pure extract. So, but I mean, the heat isn't far off, I don't think, on this one. So we have Pepper X, honey, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, distilled vinegar. Oh, interesting, 2 vinegars. I didn't notice that before. We have kosher salt, we have chipotle powder, and we have ginger. Smoking Ed likes to use ginger. It doesn't really show up in the profile here, though, I wouldn't say. See, there are lots of particulates here. So there have been other Pepper X things on this channel, such as the dual potato chip challenge thing where I had both of the chips and I didn't find that to be honestly super challenging. The nugget honey from Hot Ones, where I didn't feel like it had much of an impact. To this point, I would say my impressions of Pepper X are probably generally favorable, but I really haven't got, I don't think, a good measure of the pepper particularly. So you can see there are a lot of particulates in here. This one is a sauce you have to do a fair amount of agitation on. This one likes to separate. So I'm kind of doing that as we speak here. I did mention this reminded me somewhat of the Adobo Loco Cola Hey Kid. And that one, of course, was apple cider vinegar and ghost peppers for the most part. And I didn't like that particular sauce on a lot of other stuff. Happily, that is not the case with this one. This one, in a way, it's as thin as the Cola Hey Kid, which probably reminds me of that, well, flavor profile as well. But the Hamajang, again, I was kind of in the same place, you know, where it had ghosties and habaneros, and it had a little bit of a beefier concentration. And I found that one to actually be quite good on different foods that I wasn't expecting, which is what I found to be the case here too. This one is not just good on wing sauces. This one is actually fairly flexible, and I think it's because the Chipotle just delivers a different type of smokiness to the proceedings than does, you know, the ghost peppers and those other sauces. So, but all right, I think we got it agitated enough. Let's take a look at the one. I'm handling this really, really carefully because I don't want this on my fingers if at all possible. Because this is punchy. I wouldn't say it's quite to the mouthful of blast furnace, but I wouldn't say it's not that either. It's not that. You know what I mean? It's very, very aggressively punchy. It's got the sort of not quite as dark as like a soy sauce, but it does kind of remind me of that tone a little bit. You can see there's a lot of particulates in this. Very, very runny sauce as well. You get a good look at it there. Got a little bit of a reddish hue almost, I would say. Towards the edges, a little orangish possibly. So let's just get on into this. Ah! Oh, I got a little bit of chapped upper lips, so they're cracked a touch. Oh, wow. Getting the salt and the vinegar, and my chapped and cracked lips is most unpleasant. All right, so there's a little bit of grit in there. Getting a lot of Chipotle. It's kind of a vague, super hot bitterness, and of course we're getting the apple cider vinegar as well. So I've said before, I've got a respectable mouth heat going on right now, and this will build a little bit. So I've said before that habaneros are kind of, or not habaneros. I've said before that Reapers are in a class kind of by themselves because, for me anyway, they're a pepper that'll come back on me, 2 to 4 hours later. And I have not noticed that with Pepper X yet. Like, that hasn't happened yet. But what I just did, taking a spoonful of this solo and having it dump into your stomach, is a really good way of finding out if that is going to happen. Generally, even if I don't have a lot of trouble with the sauce, when I shoot these, sometimes that will be the case, that I'll have that pepper dump just from that spoonful, and that will be the thing that pushes it over, and I'll sometimes get some minor cramping here and there. Since I've kind of come up with a preload regimen, that really doesn't happen very often, and I'm not really hugely concerned about it here with this either. But that is one good way that you can tell, right? There's a good tolerance check for you if anybody's interested in figuring that out for themselves, is to take just I mean, this is a white teaspoon. You don't need much, you don't need more than that. Take a nice white teaspoon full of whatever sauce it is solo, and then see how your body reacts to that. I'm fine as far as this goes right now. So what I've got here is, I went over to McDonald's, and okay, so this is their jalapeno cheddar cheeseburger, and this is how I have seen what they do with this cheese sauce every single time. It's like they put it under a pump, they hit the squirt, and that is it. You can see the bun really well here, right? The state of fast food is just pathetic these days. Oh. These are very sour jalapenos too. I don't know where they got these, where these were sourced, but they're quite sour. Let's see here. All right. Let's try. So I can show you this. There's bacon, jalapenos, and cheese on the burger, both sides of the burger. Just American cheese. So I don't know what the point of this is. How many bites is it gonna take me to get to this cheese sauce? If I go here, it'll be faster. So let's just give this a try to get baseline. The cheese sauce. Oh man, those are sour jalapenos. Wow. How do you do that? How do you take a great tasting pepper and make it so sour? Oh, that shouldn't be possible. Okay, so let's get to the initial impressions of this. Cheddar sauce is good, arguably the best thing on here. Obviously, with this many high-fat things, bacon, burger, and cheese, it is very, very rich. It also is very, very boring. This is very sour jalapenos. I know, that's so weird. I've never had them like that before. Anyway, this is in itself not a great entry into the pantheon of fast food stuff. Which is also why you didn't see me do a separate review of this. But I mean, it's only jalapeno. I don't feel like jalapenos, given how ubiquitous they are, is really a good indication of somebody chasing the chili head market. You know, really, that's been my kind of motif on the blog for a really long time. Jalapeno or higher. Which obviously doesn't count cayenne, just because it's my blog and I love cayenne. But, alright. So, you can see we got a pretty good coating on there. Now let's just see what we're in for. So, the runny nature of this makes it a little challenging. But is vastly improving this burger. This is a really good sauce for a lot of different foods, I will say. This isn't quite enough for how much I put on. So let's we'll get a little bit for dipping also. I really like this sauce. This is an excellently flavored sauce. There, we're getting some punch. I think this was a 9 on the season it was on. And this is definitely not a plaything for non-chili heads. It's pretty immediately fiery. I'm getting sweating through the mask here. It's hot this year. I try to keep the air off for these videos so it doesn't bleed through, but I gotta say, this definitely needs to stick with chili heads. It has a pretty decent build to it overall, but the flavor is so good. Like, I find it hard to resist adding more, just because I really like how this interacts with food. I don't know if Apollos are easier to grow, and that's kind of why Pepper X kind of got pushed aside a little bit, or if it's a stability thing. Maybe, oh boy, sweating, dripping down my eye holes and everywhere else. I suppose the peppers are probably contributing a little bit to that also. Oh, that's good and punchy. I like it. So how This is supposed to be hotter than Reaper's, which I would put them pretty close together. But I would also put, Apollo in that same breath. To me, the Apollo, again, I'm just judging based on sauces, And maybe that's not a strictly fair comparison, but it's what I have to work with. I don't generally enjoy fresh pods. Although if I get to, that's like one of the subscriber challenges, right? If I get to a certain number of subscribers, I probably will do a fresh pod challenge. But I don't know if I can even get Pepper X and Apollo in pod form. But in any case, I don't know, but I like this Pepper X quite a bit. I think it's, so far, in the settings I've had in it, I think the flavor has been slightly better. At least more to my suiting. It reminds me, it's more towards a Ghost, I think, than anything else in terms of flavor. Or maybe a Reaper. But I think it is more to my suiting than the Apollo was. But again, just judging in different settings, I haven't had any of those solo, and I also don't come across either of those peppers in a whole lot of variety of sauces. Like, Reapers are fairly ubiquitous, right? You see those a lot now. And so you can get a good measure across a variety of platforms. Not so much the case with Pepper X and Apollo, but I will say Pepper X I have a very favorable impression of. Certainly through this sauce, but also like the Nugget Honey was pretty okay. The dual chip challenge to me it wasn't good tasting, but it wasn't, mind-blowing. The video with Ed Curry and the other dude it wasn't to that level, at least not with me. Very entertaining video though. But I am very pleased with Pepper X thus far. So this is an excellent sauce. This is one of the better ones for me from the Hot Ones show. I think it's also one of the more flexible sauces I've had, so I quite enjoy it from a lot of perspectives. It is in contention for Sauce of the Year as well for 2023. And what more ringing endorsement could you need than that? So we'll leave it right there. I'm sweating into my eyes now and everything's getting blurry, so I'm going to wrap this up. But there we are, the Puckerbutt Chipotle Express Hot Sauce. Now go forth in peace to serve the flame.